Quick correction, it is blowing bubbles now, but it's also flowing out of there. But it's been doing that for a long time, so I don't know why that's blowing bubbles, if that's also flowing. And I've had this running for probably a half hour. I did payroll. So I don't know what's going on here exactly. Okay, I have my bucket, my umbrella. It's raining out. That's open, and there's some bubbles coming out of the bottom one. So we'll go see what it's doing right now real quick. Just taking a breather. It's getting kind of windy. We have a wind advisory. So it was calm, but now the umbrella may not survive. Okay, just got up here. I had to put the umbrella away because it's a little bit windy, and it is actively raining. A thing I have to clear up here is, I didn't really mention it in the last video. I showed work, but I didn't say what I was doing. But this is a galvanized wire attached on those hose clamps, which are holding the pipe up. And this wire is extremely tight. I have it wrapped around an old piece of pipe under these rocks. Moving on. I walk up here, I see this is overflowing, so there's water going into the bucket up there. I walk up here, I hear a loud rumbling. Do you hear that? I haven't opened it yet, so you guys will open it with me. Up here, I have an overflow pipe that is overflowing, going down into my filter bucket. So that would explain why there's water coming out of that black pipe there. The spring is full. I can't get any more water through my pipe. It's not even trying to rush through those holes. The weir here is doing a fantastic job. I don't see any like prominent leaks anywhere. So, good job, Clay. Moving on, we have my collection bucket, which is in hydro terms called a 4-bay of sorts. Remove the rock, remove that. That's the water we have flowing in. I brought a bucket so we can measure how many gallons per minute that is. I think an explanation for some of the bubbles may be cavitation bubbles, or maybe sucking air from this. Okay, yeah, you hear the noise? It's sucking air. I don't know if there's anything I can really do about that. Let me try something. Okay, this might have helped. I took the cap off of this for the garden hose, and I just stuck it on here, but it's 1 inch, and that's 3/4 pipe. So that should maybe reduce the bubbles that are going in. And now we can get a flow measurement out of the spring, which will not include that up there. You can see what this does and time it. This is a 5-gallon bucket. You're right there. You can see 5 gallons. I took out my valve control pipe. That's what I used to turn on and off the valve so I can get the bucket in here. We're gonna see how many gallons per minute this is flowing out of the spring. All right, that was kind of crappy. Let's try this again. All right, wow. That is heavy. Let's try again just to get a more accurate measurement maybe, hopefully. All right, that's pretty good. And we're full. Okay. Clearly we have more than my maximum that I've ever seen here. It's more than 30. All right. I raised this bucket about 6 inches on rocks because I thought I didn't need so much slope on the pipe, but if I had more slope here, then it would work. I'd probably be collecting more water because there's a little bit of friction between here and there in the pipe. So that's affecting how well it works. and it's really starting to rain now. So I'm going to go back down the hill and try to put this in a concise video format. I also disconnected that hose pipe and I put a cap on it. I took the cap off of there and I put it down that, and then I just stuck a leaf in there with that on it to get a little bit of an air brake or air plug of sorts, and it seems to be maintaining the flow out, going out right now. I've disconnected that because we're going to have freezing weather coming up here soon. So if I don't have to worry about that freezing at all. And then my main pipe, I just have to keep flowing a little bit because the water here is going to be at like 52, 54 degrees Fahrenheit during the winter even, I hope. Oh wow. So it's actually sucking air now and trying to flow more than there's flowing in. Okay. And that's because I plugged up the vent tube. The reason I have this vent tube here is that if I turn off that valve, that it doesn't create a suction in the pipe and try to collapse the pipe. So this will, if I turn off the valve, allow air to go down behind the water as it drains. I hope that was loud enough and clear to you guys. Okay, I actually tilted down the first part of the pipe a little bit because I removed one of those rocks to get a little bit extra slope on that portion, which will just shove more water through this pipe. So I'm going to take another measurement, but I'm going to do it better with my hand, with my phone in my pocket, and I'll just shout out when I start and stop. Start. Stop. Okay, I have quickly reconnected my manifold here, so I'm going to open it up and see. Oh. So that took me 30 seconds to turn it on, and we can see that it's mostly full, and those fluctuations are because of bubbles going out of the end of the penstock at the top. So I'm going to let the collection barrel fill up just a moment here, and I'm going to take off this, and we're going to see what it does with this restriction, just what the opening is on this adapter here. Now we're going to see if this, open hole here will restrict it enough to not suck any air bubbles. And we can see the sustained pressure there. What would that be? 13 psi. And there was a few bubbles in there, so those bubbles are coming out now. Of course, it wants to shoot itself back. Let's see if I can leave this here and on. Really see what it does. So we're almost sustaining up to 20 psi. I imagine that this fitting here is really affecting the gauge, because there's a lot of water shoving past this T here. Let me back up and show you guys what that looks like. That's shooting across my yard from that. I've always been fascinated about this specific configuration. Just open it up, dump it, see how far it goes. And it's going pretty far here. Let me, I'll go down here. Go under it. There we go. There's my shed, and there's the water. There's a breeze too. And it seems to come in fits and spurts. Like it goes back to there and then it'll shoot up to here. Yep, see? Nope, nope. It might actually depend on the wind because there's actually wind here too. Yep, there it is, it's back. So this is definitely steady state now. It's been on for probably 3 or 4 minutes. You can see the pressure there is 2/3 of 20 psi, so what would that be? I'm trying to think math here. 12. Yeah, probably about 14 psi at whatever gallons per minute we had at the top. So that maybe not the optimum, but it would definitely do something for sure. And I know there's no bubbles coming out because I can feel this, and there's no bubbles coming through. It's smooth. So any noise we see or hear here is definitely from this. Maybe there's a little air leak in some of these or something. So what did we learn here today? My penstock sizing is a little bit small. I probably could have gone up to 2-inch to harness all of the power, but that was an economic and realistic reason as to not go with anything larger than 1.5 inches, because then things get more difficult and more expensive. And I still feel this is designed for maybe not instead of 98% sizing, 2% of the time it would be undersized, but maybe it's more like 92 or 95% undersized. So 5 or 8% of the time it's not enough. And I'm okay with that. You'd really have to go through the numbers and see if it was worth it to justify the expense to put in more hydroelectric stuff when instead you could bolster this with something parallel like solar. The money would probably be better spent on solar than trying to increase the size of this from what it is. It's all about economics. It's really an engineering problem, a business problem. It's both, really. That's all, folks. I'll see you guys around later.